I'm Farhan Dalla, transformational trainer, and welcome to Elevate Your Life, a transformational podcast, an invitation to take the journey towards your deepest self. It is my intention to inspire you to connect, move, and meditate. We'll tap in, tune in, and dive in, and together learn and reflect from authentic, real, and transformative conversations. Let's get started. Disclaimer. The information in this episode is not a substitute for medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. If you have a medical condition, please consult with a medical practitioner. Hi, everyone. My guest today, all the way from Lisbon, Portugal, is Raul Neves, who's here to talk about his incredible healing journey. Prior to 2020, Raul had what seemed like a great life till virtually every part of it fell apart. He had a successful career where he rapidly moved from consultant to working as a CFO, but then he lost his job. His personal life also fell apart. His long-term relationship with his partner came to an end. And then, after a routine health examination, he was diagnosed with prostate cancer. A consultation with a doctor led to fear and worry about long-term side effects of cancer treatment. Raul decided to delay the highly recommended surgery. Around that time, synchronistic events led him to discover the work of Dr. Joe Dispenza. He immersed himself in the work, and today, Raul has a new life and is completely cancer-free. Raul, welcome to the show.
It's a pleasure to be here with you.
Thank you. The pleasure is all mine. And let's begin by saying that you went through a lot in a very short period of time. Your story is amazing, and I'm excited to share this conversation. The bio kind of gave a brief overview, but I want to dive in and start this conversation with, what happened in 2020? Your life took a major unexpected turn.
Yeah, that's very true. Um, the it happened in 2020, but the I would say the universe has kind of escalating process. Life is not a comfort experience. It's a growth-centric experience, and people, when we are in our comfort zone for too long, the universe starting,
Move things
sending
up a little bit.
sending messages, and you should move. And when we don't listen, it starts escalating. And it was my case. It was escalating until I had no other option but change. So basically, at the time, so I was the managing director, actually, of a Canadian company in Portugal, and I had a beautiful relationship for 15 years. Well, someone I liked, and there was some signs that things were not good everywhere. Signs things were not good in the company I was working for because they were going through big losses everywhere. And because the market was not developing as they expected, and COVID came up, which didn't help. So they decided to close down all south of Europe. And I had this call. They say, okay, we have a nice message for you that we are going to close down south of Europe. You have to close it down, but then after, in 6 months, you won't have a job. And 3 months after, my partner said it's time to break up. And I asked,
Wow.
is there anything we can do? And she said, no, I don't want to go on. And yeah, as you said, when I was trying to figure out, we always have these minor things we want to fix in
Hmm.
our health. I
Yeah.
decided to go to a doctor and say, okay, I'm going to do this, do a
Right.
checkup and see what I can adjust. And at our second meeting, after blood test. He said, I don't have good news for you. It looks like you have a prostate cancer.
Huh.
So we need further exams. I send you to a specialist. And that was it. So I did some MRI, I think it's the name in English, and it was confirmed. And so this first doctor wanted to do a surgery,
Hmm.
and I decided to go for a second one. In Portugal, we have an amazing place that is a foundation, one of the best in the world for cancer research.
So you mean
And they,
like a second opinion?
yeah, yeah.
Okay. Well, I
So
mean,
I
wasn't
went.
all of this really overwhelming? You just lost your job, you lost your partner. Like, how are you feeling at this point before you even get the cancer diagnosis? I mean, that's a lot for a lot of people to digest. So, were you, in a state of grieving? Were you overwhelmed? What was
Yeah,
going on at that time?
I was grieving, but the universe always cares for us. So I had this phone call from someone that was a board member with me in a previous company, and he said, "I need your help to fix things in my company, in the company I work for. I need someone to take the role of a CTO and put everything in place." And I was not sure about accepting it. But at the end of the day, he said, okay, you just do 6 months and then you see. So I ended up by being there for 5 years. So until last October when we met in November. So on that part, I was getting busy again with
Right.
my work, but yeah, it was really an overwhelming period.
Hmm.
Uh, I I I was very dedicated to my family, so it was something that I lost, and so like I start once I was binge watching and seeing in Netflix. I'll tell you the steps that took me.
Sure.
I was at at Netflix. I saw this guy called Tony Robbins with his "I'm Not Your Guru." That's the documentary.
Right.
So I saw it and I said, "This guy, this is amazing how this guy does this." So I went into explore a little bit. I end up by joining his training center to become a coach. So I did it's called the Robin Madane's Training Center.
Hmm.
So I went through, how Tony Robbins does those things, the methodologies that he used. So, and I ended up by certified as a coach. But that was not enough for me, that I'm a kind of left brain scientific guy. So I needed more science out of it.
Hmm.
And somehow I came across Peter Sage. Sage is someone that worked for 15 years with Tony Robbins, but he became much more closer to Joe Dispenza that you know well. So with Peter, I end up by joining his program that is called the Elite Mentorship Forum, which is a 6 months program.
Hmm.
So when I got the news, I was the bad news of the cancer. I was already through the process of that program.
Right.
On our first module, the first module is called Ruling Reality. So it's all the Joe Dispenza things that you learn explained in a different way,
Hmm.
um, and with more evidence from other people. And also, one of the books recommended there is Joe Dispenza's books. So that's how I got to know Joe Dispenza.
Right.
Came
So,
at a time for me.
yeah. I mean, I want to come back to the second opinion and then we'll circle back to Dr. Joe Dispenza, but what did the doctor at the cancer hospital or specialist say?
Yeah, well, he said exactly the same as the first one.
Hmm.
So he wanted to perform this surgery. I don't know the name in English, but basically they put um, small metal pieces inside the prostate to do radiotherapy, and then they see what depending on the results, they see what to do after. But by the time I met him, I was already prepared. I was already into Joe Dispenza stuff.
Right.
So I said to him, I don't want to do anything.
Right. Because I think that you mentioned previously that there were some side effects that you were concerned about with the surgery, and you were in a bit of a state of fear at that time when you heard about, the side effects, the potential future. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, well, doing such interventions into us, there is a lot of side effects. I would say there is one that for us men is quite important, and I'm still quite young, I would say,
You
which
mean
is
erectile
the
dysfunction?
erectile dysfunction is one of the
Hmm.
consequences. I
Right.
said, okay, and all the others, and I mean, I didn't feel I wanted to go through the process. This is a very, I would say, personal decision, and it's a very, once you make such decisions, you have to, you know, to
Live with the choices, really.
live with
Yeah.
your choice and be responsible for it and do whatever it takes on the alternatives to make it work.
Yeah, let's talk about the alternative. So, before we talk about Dr. Joe, just for people who don't know who he is, if you're not familiar with his work, he's a chiropractor, author, lecturer, and he's known for his work on mind-body healing, neuroscience, and personal transformation, blending quantum physics with ancient wisdom to teach people how to change their reality through meditation and changing beliefs stemming from his own recovery from a spinal injury. Dr. Joe has retreats where he teaches this material, and I will leave a link in this podcast in the description section so that you can learn more about his work. And Raul, you and I actually met at his retreat last November in Cancun. You mentioned that you synchronistically came across his work through some personal development courses that you were taking. But what was it about his work that resonated with you that made you think, okay, when the doctor said what he said, you were like, I'm gonna do this my way.
Yeah. Um, yeah, well, it started with the program that I mentioned with the Elite Mentorship Forum with that first module about ruling reality. And just in that model, we have like 4 or 5 hours around this subject of that there is a subset and a superset, right? There is the real world that we see, but there is the energetic and magnetic world that we don't see. And besides Dr. Joe, we go into Tom Campbell, which is a NASA scientist that has studied a lot about this non-physical reality and is one of the persons that defend that we live in a virtual reality. So all this that our atoms in our bodies made of atoms, right? At the end of the day, yeah, of molecules and atoms. So our atoms are like, if you look at an atom, 99.999% of the atom is empty space. So our medicine cares about treating matter, but in fact, most of us is not matter, is space and energy. So,
That's right.
and we go in that model, we study different people. I end up by studying a lot of people in that area. Tom Campbell is a good reference to look into. He looks like a crazy scientist, I would say. He's 81 years old by now. Uh, so I studied a lot this area. So Joe Dispenza was just one more, I would say, on the blog. But what I found interesting about Joe Dispenza is how to apply this, and also the how he had started doing research at the time he was really starting doing some uh, medical research on his work. A lot of developments over the last few years. So I was tuned into his work. But I had already a lot of experience on meditation. I did a lot of meditation by myself since my late 20s. I was not meditating for a while, for a few years. Maybe that was one of the reasons I was too focused on the real world, the 3D world, without considering all the other layers that we can work on. So yeah, so that was one of the motives. We see on the Joe Dispenza work, we see a lot of people that focus just on meditation, but I made a lot of changes in my life besides that.
Hmm. Yeah, we'll
Work.
talk about that in a sec, but I want to know, when did you realize that you could heal yourself with Dr. Joe's work? Because you had to have believed in it, to have
Mm.
dove into it the way that you did, to turn away from medical treatment. And, we're definitely not recommending people do that. Everybody has to make their own choice. But when did you realize, okay, I could do this and I could heal myself?
Well, there was a lot of evidence, so I really studied the science behind it with the things with people from quantum physics and people from neuroscience. So there is a lot of evidence. We also, if you go to Joe Dispenza's site, you also have a lot of cases of people that transform themselves in different areas, in different with different diseases. You couldn't find their prostate cancer case at the time, but I think I was the first to give a testimonial on that. But you had much more severe cases. So I said to myself, okay, if other people can do it, why can't I do it? But I thought there was much more, in my case in particular, there was much more than meditation to do it. So I went full into it. And I was really, I think I was ready for anything that could come. So I was really fully into it and see what would be the results.
Yes, and your results are amazing. Um, so when the doctors said it, the diagnosis, I imagine anyone that goes through, the C word diagnosis goes through some fear, which I imagine that you experienced as well. And I heard you
Yeah.
talk a bit about that in your testimonial on Dr. Joe's YouTube page, which is the first time that I learned about you, by the way. I saw that testimonial, and then I was fortunate to meet you in Cancun in November of 2025. But how did you overcome the fear of the diagnosis? Because I think a lot of people would be interested in that, right? Because it can be scary.
I think it's always scary when we are diagnosed with whatever things. It raises fear, raises uncertainty because you don't know what's going to happen. But you have to, get centered somehow and process what's that and what's the meaning. And with all the learning I was going through, when you get any type of disease, usually 30% of it can come, according to some studies, 30% of it will come from the 3D, how you behave on 3D world. How do you
Mhm.
behave? How do you treat your body, basically? What do you eat? Do you smoke? What do you drink? How do you behave yourself? Your sleep, your level of stress and anxiety, all that. It's a big factor. But then the other 70% is more related to energy and to let's say, the metaphysical part of us. How do we behave, all our emotional part? How do we relate to others? How
Mhm.
do we become people pleasers? For example, there is a study that shows that women with breast cancer, one of the main reasons, besides all other, is most of them are people pleasers.
Really?
Yeah. So it's how we behave, how we take when a lot, for example, when we take a lot of anger and we don't release that anger,
Hmm.
it's very related to liver disease, anxiety, and it's very related to pancreatic diseases. Well, if you look at the Chinese medicine, for example, you know,
Right.
3,000 years old already
Yeah.
have this relationship between organs and emotions there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. I mean,
so,
go
yeah,
ahead. Go ahead. Hmm.
yeah. So I understood I had a lot to work on myself in a lot of areas related to this.
Good. So I want to know about all of that. I want to talk about what you did to heal. And alluding to what you just said, Dr. Joe teaches that we have to change, including our beliefs to heal. So what did you change? What beliefs did you change? How did you change your life?
Wow, that's a lot of things.
I know it's a loaded question. So why don't we
The
start with
first,
your beliefs? Because I think, when you describe what you said about breast cancer and some of the correlations with Chinese medicine, with certain organs, they're all
yeah,
belief related, right? So, what beliefs would you say you changed?
okay. Before we go into that, and that's a very important one and will be long, let me just do a short loop on one of the changes, which is food. So the one thing I changed was the way I was eating. I I I listen a lot and I go a lot into the biohacking stuff nowadays. But at that time, basically, I eliminate something that Peter Sage calls the three white devils, which is sugar. So I had no sugar, no lactose, and no gluten. So
So,
white
no
people,
sugar, no lectins, and no
no gluten.
no gluten. Okay.
And the gluten is one of the that has the most effect on us. As a side, I've lost around 7 to 8 kilograms, uh, but that was like a side effect of cutting sugar and gluten mostly.
Okay.
And so that's the closed loop. So look into what we eat. Sugar is a good feeder for cancer,
Hmm.
and so going back to beliefs, that was a big work I was doing. So here, the Elite Mentorship Forum helped me on that because I was going through the program and looking into my beliefs, my values, my rules, all those things. I think the most important belief, I'd like to make a quote from Einstein that I like very much.
Okay.
Einstein said the most important question we have to answer in our life is if we live in a friendly or hostile universe. So today I can add, we live in the universe we believe in. So if you believe you live in an hostile universe, the universe is going to be hostile. If you
Mm-hmm.
believe it's friendly, it's going to be friendly. And that's how, I like it's one of my favorite quotes.
And I think he's suggesting that
So,
you get to create your universe, right? Like you get to
yeah,
decide what that universe is,
yeah.
and the world will reflect back.
It's like a mirror.
Yes.
It's a delayed mirror. And there is a scientific word for this delayed mirror, that is the quantum to Newtonian transition. So you have things in the quantum field, and there is a transition to the real world, so the Newton world,
The
right? The
Newtonian
Newton.
world. Hmm.
So the question is, there is a delay, right? When you smile at a mirror, so the universe is a mirror with a delay. When you smile at a mirror, the mirror will smile back to you, right?
Hmm.
The question is, in the universe, you smile to the mirror, and you have to wait for this transition time for it to smile back to you. If you say, why the mirror is not smiling to me, I'll stop smiling.
Hmm.
And then, you just spoil your your transition into a smiling world. So there is this delay. So for me, this was one of my fundamental beliefs. I was a really stressed person. I was living in very high levels of stress and anxiety of all the things that could go wrong in my life. You know, you have to watch out. And I had to work and understand where does this come from, you know? All of us, we are very influenced by our the education and by our parents. And my father in particular, my parents had a tough life at the beginning of their lives. My father in particular is an amazing man and a great man, and he changed his life as well. But when he was 4 years old, he lost his mother, and then my grandfather married again, and that lady died when my father was 8 years old, and then my grandfather died when he was 9. So by 9 years old, my father had lost two mothers, basically,
Right.
and the father. So for him, life was quite hostile. He was then living with an aunt, and then the aunt, for some reason, decided that she didn't want to be with him. So we had again a rejection, and then he ended up living with my grandfather, which was also a man that I liked very much. He was an amazing person. So, and my father had to start working at 12. So what what he taught me, right, was that watch out, you know, things can happen in your life that you don't expect.
Hmm.
Watch out your back. So I was always, you know, this of, and being a manager, you know, studying management, you always consider all the scenarios and what are the bad scenarios that can happen. So and that's very stressful. If we look back, and this is a good thing for someone that is very stressed to do. Think people that have a lot of anxiety over scenarios that can happen. Just watch back in your life and how many times do them really happen? And
Right.
you'll see that 99.99% of the times, those scenarios that you worry with never happen.
Right.
But just by worrying with them, you just make them more probable to happen as well.
Sure. And it affects your physical being if you're always in a state
Yeah,
of worry and you're anxious and
yeah,
in a
yeah.
state of fear, right?
No, yeah. One thing I also did meanwhile was I studied with the Art Math Institute. So I'm a certified coach from Art Math.
Sure. Can you
And
tell
one thing,
people what the Heart Math Institute is, just for our listeners who don't know?
yeah, yeah, sure. Art Math Institute is so they publish and they study a lot the relationship between our heart and our brain and the heart rate variability that now we have in our watches and so on. They've been studying it for many years. And what our emotions and our feelings, what's the impact on the production of different type of hormones in our body. So when you are anxious and stressed, we produce basically a lot of adrenaline and cortisol that can be good if it's for 5 minutes, but having it for 24 hours is not good for our health. So it's the difference between producing good hormones or bad hormones. It's
Hmm.
very related to our emotional state. So there are a lot of studies about that, and they publish them. They do a lot of studies about the energy of the world and the energy of ourselves. They have devices that we can use to measure our heart-brain coherence. So
Right. So did studying all of this help you with coming into awareness of how your so-called beliefs that weren't serving you were
yeah,
impacting you physical and what changes
yeah.
you needed to make?
So beliefs. So one thing on so beliefs, believing that we live in a friendly universe was one of the key aspects for me to challenge myself and to believe that there is a better. One of the Peter sentences that I like very much nowadays is whenever we have a challenge, is I like it is this or something better. The universe is always there for us. Even challenging moments that we have in life, maybe they become important for us. Or,
Mhm.
for example, in my case, if my partner didn't finish with me, maybe I wouldn't go to the doctor and on time and by the time I would go there, it would be in a very bad situation.
Right. Yeah.
So that was a good thing at the end of the day that
Yeah, it
I
could have saved your life in the end, right?
yeah.
There are no
So
real losses when you think about it.
yeah, so working in our beliefs is very important. Another one that was very important, it was about values and rules, because even if we don't, most people never write what are the values that are important for me. Okay, it's like they are in our subconscious mind and they make her happy or unhappy, stressed or less stressed, but we never write them down. Even if we write them down, it's very interesting because some of them might be incompatible. They go against each other, so we can never be happy with things because we will never fulfill them. And
Mhm.
then also about what are the rules. Sometimes we are very demanding on the rules of being on our values. I can give you an example to make it more clear. Let's say health is a very important value for me, and it's actually in my list is my second one
Okay.
now. But if what is health? Health. If I said for myself that for me to feel healthy, I need to be able to run a marathon every weekend, and then I'm setting myself to lose, right? But
Right. Yeah.
if I if I said for me to be healthy is I don't have major pain, I can breathe every day normally, and I can just go for a walk, then I'm setting myself to win because I can fulfill that every day.
Hmm.
So defining uh, what are our values, priorities, and what are the rules that apply to those values. I said health is my second one because my first one is I believe in the universe,
In a friendly universe.
in a friendly universe.
Right. Um, Excellent. So you changed your beliefs, you worked on your values. I think this is an important point. So if people are listening to this, they might be thinking that it's important to get clarity on your values
Yeah,
because most people, maybe live from a place of, living life from what I call the sleeping dead, where uh,
yeah,
you're not really awakened to who you are and what's important to you. So, if anything, this will motivate people to think about at least what their values are.
yeah.
Um, you seem like you're, just from having met you and speaking to you now, you seem like you're quite maybe a spiritual person. I mean, is that an accurate sort of, statement? Have you always been that way, or did that, change after 2020 when you had the diagnosis and change your life?
Yeah, well, I had a journey on spirituality, I would say, as most Portuguese or people in Western Europe. I had a Catholic education, but then when you are a teenager, you kind of rebel, right? And you don't believe, how can a lady get pregnant without having anything, or all those things we question about the Bible. And then I studied a lot of different religions. I like Buddhism very much. In my 20s, I even went to Sri Lanka for some time and amazing experiences there. So I kind of relate because Buddhism is more close to spirituality. Um, what I realized later in life is that um, we can have much more impact if we are more close to the religion that is more important in our country. it's irrelevant to debate if we all believe in a God or in the universe or in something, but then the impact I could give to my country, being a Catholic, would be much bigger than being a Buddhist, because no one aligns with that, or a very small percentage of the population here. So, but regardless of that, today I'm a spiritual person, because if you understand that um, there is a non-physical world, and when you study all this, and I go really deep into some of the quantum physics
The science of it all, right? Yeah.
science.
Yeah.
There is a few books that are quite interesting, and from quantum physics and from scientists that have wrote them. So even there is it's very clear that there is something to create all this universe that we live in, and
Hmm.
that is somewhere above us. And for the non-believers, for people that don't believe in all this, I just use something. Usually I say, look at my phone. This is
Oh,
amazing. The
yeah.
world, by coincidence, just put all the pieces together, all the transistors that are in here, and it just appeared out of nowhere, a phone. And you would laugh at me, right? Because how can that be possible? But then we believe that ourselves, that we have ADN that is 22,000 combinations or something like that, that just came out of thin air, but by coincidence of the universe happening by itself. So why do you believe one is possible and the other one is not possible,
Hmm.
right? So basically, the probability of there being something to make this our ADN to work, and all the different ADNs that are in the world for all these different animals to work, there must be something there, right? So I believe there is a divine consciousness. I believe we are particles of that consciousness. I have one of my mentors that likes to word that say to us, we are godicals, because we are particles of God.
I
So
love that. I'm going to use that. We are
mm,
godicals. You mentioned that you had meditated in the past, and I know Dr. Joe teaches us meditation. So, are you meditating now every day? And if so, what does your meditation practice look like?
yeah, I meditate every day. Um, Somewhere between, Dr. Joe's meditation, so I would do like
Yes.
somewhere between half an hour to 1.5 hours.
Right. Yeah.
Not I don't do it always at the same time. Sometimes I do it in the morning, sometimes I do it in the evening.
Right.
Uh, Sometimes I do short ones at lunchtime, those 15, 20 minutes ones. It's nice
Hmm.
after lunch
Yeah.
to, to boost for the afternoon.
Right.
So I do meditate. I would say 95 to 99% of the times I use Dr. Joe. Sometimes I try other things. I also do the passive meditation, so more type of mindfulness
Hmm.
sometimes without any guidance. That's what I used to do many years ago. It was the most frequently used. Guided meditation started picking up slowly, and now they are more dominant.
Hmm.
Um, but I do meditate.
Right. And I think that was,
But at that time when I was diagnosed, I was meditating 2 times a day. So one
okay.
hour in the morning, 1 hour in the evening. I did a lot of the blessing of the energy centers, one of the Dr. Joe's meditations. But if you are doing twice a day, you need to, at least I need to change, otherwise it becomes quite boring. So
Hmm.
I think I tried almost every meditation of Dr.
Right.
Joe.
Yeah, I think maybe you outgrow them and you evolve and, are ready to move on to the other ones. And he definitely has a series of the blessings of the energy centers. And that's something that I talked about in my healing that I did. And I think there's maybe 12 now of them, or I can't remember how many there are. So
Yeah.
you'd start at the first one and then work your way up to the next series. But many times when I tell people I meditate, sometimes an hour and a half, or 2 hours, it feels like it's a long time. But if you've been to his retreat, he really trains you so that when you come home, an hour or an hour and a half doesn't feel that long. And like you said, you could also break it up into different parts of your day. So if you did 30 minutes in the morning or later in the day, and much of your practice sounds like mine, I start off with at least an hour most days. If I'm really pushed for time, I will do half an hour in the morning and then do an additional half an hour later in the day. But for the most part, in total throughout the day, it's about an hour and a half that I can, dedicate to my meditation practice. And I think that's an important part of, you know, not just healing, but our evolution in our change because, Dr. Joe says we don't change to heal. So we don't meditate to heal, we meditate to change. And so that's an important part of the healing journey. Um,
Yeah, I think just as you mentioned, that one thing that is very common between people that heal is, and that I felt exactly the same. The day I remember the day I went for the second after doing all my meditations, and so the doctor, so going one step back. So the
yeah.
doctor, when I said I don't want to do anything, he looked at me kind of blank, saying, maybe I was the first guy saying that to him. So he looked at me like, and he's, for 5 seconds, he could not answer back, like with his mouth open.
You didn't know what to say.
Yeah, and then he said to me, okay, if this is a real one, you're going to die. But um, you would die anyway. We would just make our life a bit longer. So he was honest. So he said, but he said to me, I don't think it's a bad one. So come back in 8 months' time, 6 to 8, and I extended to 8 because I
Hmm.
wanted to have as much time as possible. And he said, come back in 8 months' time, we'll repeat the exams, but be ready because I'm going to tell you the same thing. We'll see how it grows meanwhile, and probability of me saying the same thing is very high. So come ready for the operation. So by the time I went, I was ready. I said to myself, okay, I did everything I could
Yeah.
to heal. If it didn't change, it's because the universe wants me to be in this research center for some reason, doing another procedure. But I was ready. But more important than that, and that's what is common between all people that have gone through this process, is I didn't care. And most
Mm.
of us, we don't care. I was happy with my life at that time. I learned so much. I was, working on other stuff, making changes to my life, and I was happy and I was ready. I knew one thing that is important is I knew this is not me. This is a container of me for this life, and there will be a point in time that I'll be needed somewhere else.
Yeah.
And so my soul will be needed somewhere else, and I have to, maybe I'll get a more beautiful body that time. That's what I ask every day.
There's nothing wrong with the body you have, bro. There is nothing
I'm
wrong.
just joking. Just joking. I'd like to, maybe I'll have another mission somewhere else. So this is, I think we have to distinguish I like to make a separation between the actor and the person in the movie, right? The personage. So I'm just the personage in this movie.
Right. So I feel
And
like you were really at peace, is what you're saying. You were at peace with where you were at. And so, having said that, you're sitting in his office, you have this follow-up. It's now 8 months since he said,
yeah, yeah,
I'll see you in 8 months. What did
yeah.
he say at that point?
So at that point, so as I said, I was ready for anything, And he opened the exams. It's an image you I don't forget ever in my life, right? The guy opened the exams and he looks at it, and I was there looking at him, and I said, "This guy doesn't say anything. He's quiet."
He's quiet
Looking at
again.
him, I said, "Am I going to die or what? What is there?"
Were you
And
sweating a little bit at this point? You're like,
so, the guy doesn't say anything. And then he said to me, I don't know what you've been doing, but just continue doing it because your exams are completely normal."
amazing.
And then and then he said, "Well, now just check on it from time to time." I said, "Do you want me to come back in one year, 6 months?" And he said to me, "I don't want ever to see you in my life because I only treat people with cancer and you're completely normal. Just go away." So
Sounds
that
like
was
he
like,
he just kicked you out of the office pretty much.
yeah, it was like,
You don't
I
have
was there
cancer. I have nothing to say to you. Just
yeah,
go, live your
I
life.
was there for 10 minutes. I was just a bit disappointed, I must
Yeah.
tell you, because that's a very important cancer research center, and they do a lot of alternative stuff. So I would expect him to ask me.
What did you
So
do?
what did you do?
Yeah.
How can we learn something from that?
Right.
Because he's a researcher more than a doctor. So, but he didn't. So okay.
But I have a feeling he'll never forget you, and he'll always know there was at least one person, you know.
Yeah, that cancer, to be fair, that cancer research center, they study a lot of alternative stuff. Maybe
Mhm.
5 years ago was still too early for them,
Right.
but now they are studying a lot of alternatives, and well, they have the best equipment for traditional treatments and things
Hmm.
like that, but they also study a lot of, you know, the
Hmm.
impact of abortions and things like that. Yeah, they are onto it.
You're amazing, Raul. You had a major life crisis in multiple areas, from personal, professional, your health, and you had to put all the pieces of your life, and instead of like crumbling, you changed it. You changed your beliefs, you changed your values or prioritized them, got clear on them. You dedicated to the meditations, you studied Dr. Joe's work, got a real understanding of the science, decided to create a new world to live in by seeing it as friendly as opposed to being hostile. You changed your career. You're in, it sounds like a much happier profession. You're not as stressed as you were before. You've changed your diet. You're eating healthier, made healthier choices. So, how is life today?
Hmm. Let me start by saying the old me, the person I was 5 years ago, if if that person came into my life now, to my shoes
Hmm.
now, that person would freak out.
Really?
Yeah,
Hmm.
because there is one sentence. Well, because there is a lot of things going on in my life. There is
Hmm.
one thing. Let's address relationships first. And one of the areas I worked a lot after, which is incredible, was relationships. I did a program with a guy called Jorge Kilmartin. Yeah, well, I did all these programs. It was like 1 year, and then the guy is in Australia, and he invited me to facilitate these groups in Europe. So then I went even deeper. When you facilitate, you go deeper, and followed a lot of people through improving their relationships for after that. So it was really an amazing
So
journey to.
this was sorry, it was a program to help you with, romantic relationships, like with life partners, or the relationship with yourself, or both?
No, any type of
Any type
relationship.
of relationship. Okay. Hmm.
Both. We in the program we had a lot of people with a lot of people have problems with the mother or the daughter
Right.
or the father or the son, because we people basically, making it very in a very short summary, we have like four different operating systems, and each one have one, right? And they are opposite two by two. So, and we tend to fall in love or have relationships with the father or mother and our sons and daughters that are in opposites,
Mm.
and we don't understand the other sides because they think in a very the opposite way we do. So we help people understanding the model and understanding the others, understanding themselves, what they have to change on themselves. So that was quite interesting. But the most important thing in relationships is that people need to understand is that there is no one that is going to love you more or can love you more than yourself. And most people are
Yeah.
not good enough at loving themselves.
Oh,
So
hmm.
we tend there is a sentence that is completely wrong that is I'm looking for my other half.
Right. Yeah.
There isn't another half.
No.
You should be one,
Whole.
complete one, a whole by
Yeah.
yourself,
You are
and
whole. Yes. Yeah.
you're looking for another whole.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, it's so there is no halves. If you even if you have an orange and you cut it in half, you cannot put it together again, right?
Hmm.
So it's not halves. That's love yourself and do the most to love yourself first, and that's the most. That's where I've been to, and that's where I am.
I love that. I mean, you really dive into this work to the point where you not just study it, but then you become a practitioner of it, whether it's the Heart Math Institute or this relationship program. Have you always been this motivated, like just to, study that deep?
Yeah, I like to study, but this became. I really believe we should change the curriculum in our high schools. I think we should learn relationships is an important thing
Yeah.
that we don't learn. Also, all this that we've been discussing about how the world really works and how do we manage emotions, how to
Hmm.
manage ourselves, how to manage relationships with the others. So all of this is much more important than knowing geography and what's the capital of the United States, you know.
Right.
So I think we need to change a lot of things. Also, things on creativity. I studied a lot about creativity in the past. Project management. Schools should really change and prepare the young men and women for the world that is out there now.
Yeah.
And yeah, so also, I didn't mention, but today when I did the EMF, then at that time, it was like 5 years ago, Peter Sage said, well, I'm thinking I want to bring this to more people. I want to create a group of trainers, and I volunteer. So I'm from the first groups he had of trainers, and then you have different levels of trainer over time. So I'm a master trainer for Peter Sage right now. So I help people through his program. I have he has now a very large group going through the program that just started this month in January,
Hmm.
and I'm following a group of around 20 people right now. I'll be starting the group, I think, around April. So, yeah, I embodied this. I go deep. Every time I do the program with my group,
Hmm.
I do the program myself again. So I watch all the material again. And so yeah, I try to go deeper and deeper on it. And I also study other people in the areas I like most, especially this one that we've been discussing.
Sure.
Yeah, so I really embodied it. But your initial question was,
How is life
and I
today?
start by
Yeah.
saying,
Yeah.
how is life now? So, and my old me would freak out because I'm living in total uncertainty at this moment. Because there is a nice sentence that both Tony Robbins and Peter Sage use in different ways. That is the quality of your life is directly related to the level of uncertainty you are able to accept comfortably. And one of the changes I made in my life was to be able to accept uncertainty. That's because, managers and, we like certainty. We don't like uncertainty.
Control and
Yeah.
yeah.
So today I'm developing my own projects. I have an amazing project that I cannot reveal yet, but I will
Okay.
do
All
it
right.
to
No
you
problem.
firsthand when I'm able to do it. But
Yeah.
basically, it's about bringing all this knowledge to the most number of people we
Mm,
can. We have to awaken humanity. That's our slogan. We have to, bring this knowledge to humanity and bring humanity to a different stage.
right. Wow. I love all of this. And yeah, from the very first time that I met you in Cancun, I thought, wow, you had such a beautiful energy. You're so likable, and you're a living, breathing example of all the work that you've done. You're so inspiring. I've loved, I've learned so much from you. And I remember the first time I watched your testimonial on Dr. Joe's YouTube page, and how you just had this real glow about you. And I was really drawn to your energy. And, speaking to you today now, I have a deeper understanding of who you are, and all of that makes total sense to me. And as I was reading some of the comments on the YouTube page, I'll just share some of them with you now. People have said things like, thank you for your beautiful testimony. Others have said, you've inspired me so much. Now I have a new life. Awesome. Congratulations, Raul. You're an inspiration. Like, how do you feel when you hear these comments?
Mhm. Yeah, two things. Well, let me start by one that can be a good recommendation for everyone. It's most of us, and I was like that. It was very difficult for me to accept compliments. A lot of
Mm,
us divert. Oh no, it was the team. Oh no, I
right.
was lucky. No, it's very important for us to acknowledge because thank you for your compliments, because your compliments mean to me. It's much more important to say that than divert it, because um, for me, it's like when I share, and that was the first thing I said to the lady that asked me if I would like to share it at the retreat. It's about what the impact we can have in others,
Yes.
right? Because sometimes we are shy about sharing, or shy about not sharing our experience on whatever area in life, but all our experiences can be an inspiration to someone else. We can help someone else grow to a new level. And so for me, it became very important to share. And whenever I hear what you just said, you can see there that I was responding to many of them. Not, maybe not all, but I
Yeah, I
responded
did
to.
see that you replied or commented.
I
Yes.
was replying
Yeah.
because I think it's important for people to see that we are seeing them.
That we've received them. Yes.
Yeah. So it's about life is about sharing, and it's about we are at the end of the day we are, as I said, we are God equals, right? So we are particles of God. So we are all one,
Yes.
and we can help each other to evolve. We come basically we come to this to Earth School, let's call it that way, to grow, to experience, and to grow our consciousness by the experiment that we have.
Hmm.
Just that doesn't mean that we'll be able to finish all wars and everything, because everyone is coming to this world in a different level of consciousness, and we have to acknowledge that and live with that.
Hmm.
Uh, But don't let what's going on in the world affect your journey and where you want to go.
And the universe you want to create for you, because
Yeah,
you
yeah.
you get to choose, right?
I'd like to share something also that is about our mission and our legacy.
Hmm.
That's something we also go through in the program, because people make it more complex than it really is. How many people we see saying, "Oh, I don't know what's my mission," and they spend months and years thinking about their mission and not taking action. Our mission is not one thing. It can be different things. And it can be one thing today, and in 3 years' time, it's be a different one. So just take action on what you believe is your mission today. And if it's different in 3 years' time, it's different in 3 years' time. Don't waste 3 years thinking and doing nothing.
Mhm.
So the mission is what you do at the end of the day. And at the end of the day, the mission is growing and increasing our level of awareness and our level of consciousness.
And I think our mission, and much like yours, involves leading with our hearts, right?
Yeah.
It's all about the love that we are putting into what it is that we're doing for the greater good. I love that.
Yeah.
I really love our Dr. Joe community. I've met some wonderful people like yourself. It's been such a pleasure to have this conversation, to have met you in person. And as we wrap up, I would like to ask you one last question. What advice do you have for anyone who's on a healing journey at this time?
Trust the process, do the work, trust the process. That's the most important, because all of us will go through phases that we feel some fears, we feel some, we don't know if it's doubts. So be consistent with your work. Do it from your heart. Do what your heart feels is best for you, and do a combination of, if you believe you need an operation, do the operation. But do everything you want to do from your heart and from your belief system, from your, what you feel, and be consistent.
Be consistent.
Don't give up.
Raul, thank you for being the inspiration
Very
that you
much.
are. Um, it's been such an honor. I've learned so much from you today. Words like godical, I'm going to be using that. I want to thank you very much for your time, for your energy, um, for your heart, and all that you've shared today, and then all that you continue to do. May you always continue to be healthy. May you always be happy. And may you always continue to radiate that light that you are. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. It was amazing to be here. I like, and I hope to speak with you soon.
We will. I want to know about this new project when you when
Yeah,
you announce it. So please let me be one of the first persons, and I'll be happy to share it.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Take care.
I'm Farhan Dalla. Thank you for taking the time to listen to today's episode of Elevate Your Life, a transformational podcast. I hope today's conversation has elevated you in some way and inspired you to connect, move, and meditate. I'd really appreciate your support by following and rating this podcast. Come back soon and join me for another transformative conversation.